Today's video is brought to you by NordPass's End of Winter Sale. From now until February 25th, you can take 70% off a 2-year subscription and get an extra month on the house. NordPass makes managing your online passwords a breeze with their user-friendly desktop and mobile applications. It allows you to access all of your passwords on any device from wherever you are. And with NordPass's zero-knowledge architecture, your data is encrypted on your own device before it ever reaches their servers. Visit nordpass.com/craft today to take advantage of this limited time offer. That's nordpass.com/craft. Welcome back to Craft Computing, everyone. As always, I'm Jeff. And yet again, I apologize for the audio quality in this video, as all of the rugs that were in my studio were pretty much destroyed. So most of the sound treatment kind of went with those. So you're gonna have to bear with me through a little bit of an echo while we shoot the next couple of videos here. Today, I'm going to be doing an unboxing and brief review of the Putorsen PT-ESD S3B. That is an electric sit-stand workstation, or in regular terms, a desk that goes up and down. Before we get started, apologies to Putorsen for this taking so long, as they actually shipped this to me about 2 months ago, but I had some other deadlines that kind of got in the way of this one. But no better time to unbox it and review it than when I'm trying to put my office back together. So let's go ahead and get this thing out of the box, see what we're working with, and see how it works. It is, first off, very, very heavy. The desk itself, I believe, is about 4 feet long. Kind of makes sense because it's about 4 feet tall. I'm gonna go ahead and set this on the couch and we'll go ahead and unbox it. And as you can see, Rambo is already doing his best to help, so we'll go ahead and work around him. Look out, buddy. There we go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your assistance. Tell you what, let me get this out a little bit. Hold on, you little butt. Cat's gonna do what a cat's gonna do. Hey, can I get this out, please? Huh? Can I get this off, please? Please? Come on. Thank you. Thank you. I promise I will let you play with the box. Okay, I promise. So the top panel itself does come what looks like in 2 pieces. So we'll go ahead and set these over here. I will say, not the biggest of surfaces. This is not a very deep desk. Here's our instruction manual, which I'm sure will come in very handy for putting this all together. And our various rods and rails and fittings. There's the motor. What I will say is, holy crap, these things are heavy. There you go, Ram. Your own personal box. Well, go get it. Yeah, now that I'm letting you, you don't want to. As I mentioned during the unboxing portion of this, every component of this is really freaking beefy. This right here is probably close to 30 pounds just for one of the legs and the servo that drives everything. Honestly, it's pretty impressive engineering, at least at first glance. So we have the 2 legs and the servo motor. We've got a drive shaft that goes in between them so both legs can drive up and down at the same time. We've got our feet here, which are easily probably 8 to 10 pounds of steel just in and of themselves. So this looks pretty simple. I guess nothing more to do than get everything together and see how it turns out. Every time I put this lens on the camera, I forget how freakishly wide angle it is. This is a 10 to 24 millimeter EF mount lens. It's a crop sensor lens, but I'm using it on a Micro Four Thirds camera with a speed booster, so we're roughly at like 14.5 or 15 millimeter equivalent on what is a really non-distortion lens. It's crazy wide. All right, so my first real negative thing that I have to say about this so far is the controller being on what would be the right-hand side of the desk when this is right side up, and the servo has to be on the left because it can't flip to the other side. If you have it in this orientation, they didn't include an extension cable, so your controller cables just kind of hang out the bottom of your desk like that. It's not exactly a clean solution. I would have much preferred to see the cable be able to be routed back around like that, so you could actually, hide it nice and high and tight. Not the greatest solution. Not only that, but the AC adapter, the bracket for that, the only way to move this bracket is to take the entire table back apart. So take the tabletop off of the legs and then move it to the other side. So if you accidentally install that on the wrong side of the desk, it's permanent unless you want to undo the 12 screws that go into holding this thing all together. Which I think I'm going to do that because this is just not acceptable to me. So what was a 25-minute installation for everything and I was ready to flip it over and use it, all of a sudden got a little bit longer. All right, controller is moved over, as is the AC adapter, and I think we're ready to turn this thing over and plug it in. And it's just as heavy as it was inside of the box. Whew. I gotta say, this is a pretty comfortable height for a desk to be. It is a little bit taller than I keep the one over there, but my chair fits under it nice and easy, even at its lowest point. This might be a little bit too tall if you're on the shorter side of things. Again, this chair, this is the GAMDS Achilles. It is a chair that's genuinely made for tall people. It is at its lowest setting right now, and at 6'5", my legs are at a 90-degree angle with flat feet on the floor. This also seems like a desk that might be geared towards people of a little bit higher stature, as at its lowest point and the chair's lowest point, I'm perfectly comfortable here. And that's just to say, that's totally before we start lifting this thing up. Right? This is too tall for me. So the numbers on here indicate this goes from 73 centimeters to 123 centimeters. Honestly, something like right around here, if I wanted something at table height or like counter height, this is about right. This is just over 100 centimeters up. This feels like a good height for a table to be. But I will say, having this amount of adjustability is pretty crazy. Now again, this high up, you do have a little bit of that lever action going on, so it's not the most stable surface in the world. You can see the beer sloshing around there just from a little bit of movement on the edge of the table. But overall, it's still quite a sturdy workstation, and I don't think you're ever really going to be working on it at this height. This seems crazy. What I will say is one very nice feature about this particular electronic desk is it's not just electronic adjustment, but there are also 3 memory points that you can set. For instance, if I want to go all the way down, I can press memory setting number 1. Pull up my chair, and the desk will stop when it's ready. I can also set memory point number 2 to my comfortable standing position. Slide my chair aside there. And by the time I've taken a drink of my beer, the table is ready to go. Now I have the table set to exactly 100 centimeters right now, and I will say it is much more stable in this position than it is at the higher settings. Obviously, again, you have a little bit of that lever action. The longer your lever, the easier it is to gain leverage over it. But at this height, this is a perfectly stable table to use a keyboard on, use a mouse, mount a monitor up to it, and feel secure that nothing is going to fall off of it or you're going to bump onto it and start knocking things over. There's quite a few things I like about this desk. There's a couple of things that I don't like. We'll go ahead and start with the negatives first, because overall I do want to leave you with a positive impression, because that's really my impression of this desk. First off, I don't like that this is a two-piece surface. What I mean by that is the tabletop is in two segments with a definite seam in the middle of it. It's not the end of the world as far as using a keyboard and mouse over here, but not having an entirely smooth surface is a little bit of a pet peeve to me, and it really does limit the usefulness of this for particular applications. For example, for a computer desk, this is probably just fine. However, as soon as this arrived, my wife started eyeing this as a cutting table for her sewing room, and this is a definite no-go. I already mentioned the cable arrangement as far as the controller to servo goes. I really wish they would include an extension to that servo cable so I could move the controller over to the right side of the desk and still have that cable properly managed up underneath it. Overall, having it only on one side is really not the end of the world, but there might be an ergonomic situation where someone runs into that you're going to want that controller on the right side of the desk and to not have any cables dangling underneath. And as I'm running my hands over the desk, I will say a couple of these screws are perhaps just a fraction of a millimeter too long, because there's 2 or 3 on here that have created a little bit of a pimple on top of the work surface here that were not there when I started this process. So a little bit shorter screw and that could definitely be avoided, but it is a little bit unfortunate to see in a brand new desk like this. Also, the desk is a little bit high gloss and fingerprint magnety. Every time I touch it, I'm leaving oils behind, and this is a desk that is going to end up looking very, very grimy very, very quickly. Now let's go over some of the positives on this desk, and there are a lot of them. I mentioned construction quality at the beginning of this video, and that's the first thing I'm going to lead with. This thing is built like an absolute tank. I'm not going to say it's going to withstand a nuclear blast, but it will probably be one of the last desks standing in the event of a nuclear apocalypse. This thing is sturdy as all heck. I do like the included cable management options that came with it. There are some pre-drilled, looks like 2-inch hole grommets, one on either side of the table. That is always nice to see. There's also the under-table cable management. There's the tray that's built into this. And one thing that I didn't show off in the installation is there's actually a headphone holder that comes on this desk. A couple of quality of life improvements on this desk that really, really do stand out to me. The adjustment on the desk itself is very well damped. That means it accelerates and decelerates in and out of the desk moves. What that means is there's not going to be a lot of jerky starts and stops that could cause things to topple over on your desk as you're working on it. And while the motor is noticeable, it's also fast enough that you don't have to live with that noise for all that long. Overall, I really do like this desk. It is not going to be the be-all, end-all desk that you absolutely have to have, but who can say that about any desk? But the feature set really lends itself well to a sit-stand workstation. If I can hit the right button, there we go. Really lends itself well to be a sit-stand workstation for a computer desk. It's thick enough to be fairly sturdy on the tabletop. I would prefer to see a little bit thicker wood on here so I could use some desk clamps on it. So things like my monitor arm and microphone would be great to be able to clamp on here and have a little bit more bite force. But overall, I don't know that I can complain too much about the usability, functionality, and construction overall of the Putorsen PT-ESD SB3. PT-ESD S3B. I was one off. So right now, the Putorsen PT-ESD S3B is only about $220 direct from the Putorsen website. However, it also shows up on Amazon from time to time for around that same price point. If you're interested in picking one up for yourself, I will have links down in the video description. Go give those a look. And on your way down there, make sure to drop this video a like and subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing to keep up with my daily shenanigans. And if you like the content you see on this channel and want to help support me in what I do, consider joining the Patreon or Float Plane. Links are also down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself and the other hosts from Talking Heads, my once-weekly live show every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news right here on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys. I'm already out of beer. And I wouldn't be feeling back to normal unless I opened a beer. And today is from Indie Brewing Company, the PA to LA Amber Lager. So Pennsylvania to Los Angeles, I'm assuming, 4.4%. And yes, it does feel a little weird not doing this in front of a desk. It's been a week, but I haven't forgotten how to pour. Kind of some loosely packed bubbles that really aren't dissipating all that quickly. Yeah, this is a beer that really doesn't make you think about it all that much. It has one flavor, and that's a pretty butterscotchy kind of malt. There's really no other way to describe it. There's not a lot of hops, it's not overly sweet, it's just pretty good. Like if this is what like Miller Genuine Draft tasted like, or a number of any other domestics, I would drink this all the time. But they don't. Yeah, we're not going to eat the styrofoam. Ram.